Hey there friends, I'm Andrew from the Scrapbox, and I make LEGO projects. Since the Backrooms movie is premiering this week, we're going to make our own version of the Backrooms out of LEGO. Let's get to it. What are the Backrooms? What do you mean, what are the Backrooms? You clicked on this video, you should know. Okay, fine. What are the Backrooms? In 2019, someone on 4chan made a thread stating, "Post disquieting images that just feel off." This thread also included the now infamous photo of a hobby town under renovation. To which someone replied, "If you're not careful and you no-clip out of reality in the wrong areas, you'll end up in the backrooms, where it's nothing but the stink of old moist carpet, the madness of mono yellow, the endless background noise of fluorescent lights at maximum hum buzz, and approximately 600 million square miles of randomly segmented empty rooms to be trapped in." And thus, the Backrooms were born, expanded upon by countless individuals, with the most iconic being Kane Pixels, who has made an entire series cultivating the lore of the Backrooms, and was so popular that he got his own movie about the seemingly never-ending labyrinth of time-altering, teleporting, bacteria-infected rooms. And now you're all caught up. Excellent. Except for one tiny problem. How are we supposed to make a LEGO scale version of a potentially infinite series of halls and rooms? Maybe.
Here at Async, we can use LEGO to create a modular 16-stud chunk of the complex. Just a simple little thing, but then we create another, and then another one, and then a couple more after that. Suddenly we have a big chunk of the complex. But oh no, we don't stop there. Now we take the big chunk and repeat them in different configurations. On and on, adding new ones here and there for all eternity, until the entirety of space-time exists within the complex. That would be perfect.
Except it wouldn't be. Because, unfortunately, in order to make infinite chunks of the Backrooms, you need both infinite space and an infinite number of LEGO bricks. And I don't have either of those. I'm confined to my tiny little office, and, though it may seem like it, I don't actually have a lot of LEGO bricks. And the number of yellow LEGO bricks is much smaller. And then the number of light yellow bricks, which match the walls perfectly, is the smallest of them all. So option one's off the table. But what about?
This idea revolves around this man and his strange treatment of cats.
Let me out! Let me out!
All we have to do is get a box, gently remove the lid, then fill that box with enough components to make a bunch of different backroom structures. Slap that lid on there, and finally, we give it a fine shape. Now, all of the bricks are in an undetermined state, meaning it's statistically possible that at this moment in time, they exist in one of an infinite number of combinations, from simple scattered bricks to this fully made backroom segment, or this one, on and on, which means this box contains every chunk of the backrooms imaginable stuck in some sort of odd superposition. And this is true, as long as we never open the box. Unfortunately, that's bad for YouTube.
We're not making an infinite number of rooms. We're making infinite potential versions of a single room. So that's not gonna work either. But we could try option 3. We cheat.
Cheat! You can't do that. That's cheating. You're a cheater.
Yes, we're going to cheat.
That's right. We don't actually have to make an infinite amount of rooms. We just have to make it appear to be an infinite amount of rooms. And that's honestly pretty easy.
The infinite rooms trick is a classic illusion used to make a small space seem infinitely large. In fact, I've made a couple infinite hallways during previous LEGO projects, all using one special item, a mirror.
Technically, you'd need 2 mirrors, and one of them is a special mirror, like this thing right here. It's called a one-way mirror. Some people call it a two-way mirror. It's a huge thing. We don't have time to get into that, but it's important because
what you do is create a small scene with 2 open sides to it. I've made this beautiful room with a lounge chair inside.
Nice.
Then you can take your scene and place one end against a mirror, which essentially doubles the space. Then you take your one-way mirror and put it in the front. And now, you can't see anything. That's because a one-way mirror, while slightly transparent, still reflects most light. So if it's bright on the outside and dark on the inside, you're just gonna see the outside reflected on the pane. But if it's bright on the inside and dark on the outside, then suddenly you can see inside. You can't tell, but I'm desperately struggling to hold the camera, the scene, and the flashlight at the same time. With a light now inside, you can peer in and see the hallway, the reflection from the mirror, then another reflection off the one-way mirror again and again and again. It's not perfect, and the reflections die off depending on your mirrors and light source, but it's enough to trick your eye into thinking it goes on forever.
Which is perfect, that's exactly what we need, except for one small detail. Where before we had infinite versions of one room, now we've made an infinite number of the same room. I don't think I need that many red chairs. So,
what if, instead of reflecting the same room again and again, we could somehow make it reflect a different room, using the power of 45-degree angles?
I'm terrible at math.
Check it. We make a hall, and then we make a second hall, but place it here. Now all we need is a little intersection, and then there's your mirror. Which means while the actual layout is this, the viewer sees a continuous hall and a T-junction. Now all you have to do is Fibonacci this bad boy until you've got the longest hall ever and a bunch of ominous doorways you can't see into, and implied infinite backrooms.
using this mirror technique, it might just be possible to make an infinite complex using just one base plate. And yes, I know this base plate isn't Lego. Lego charges like what, $8 to $10 for a base plate? I care about the Lego that goes on the base plate. I don't care about the base plate itself. This was $1 from the Dollar Tree, technically $1.25. Plus, if anything happens to this, I don't care.
Supplies. The two main supplies we need are Lego bricks and mirrors of an exact size. We'll cross our fingers that I have enough bricks, but for the mirrors, never try to cut them on your own. It never works. Luckily, my one-way mirror is an acrylic sheet, which can be carefully sliced and diced, even though the outcome may not be perfect. Then I can just cover the back in aluminum tape, and now the one-way mirror is just a normal mirror. My favorite part is peeling the protective layer. Since I'm low on light yellow bricks, I'm gonna try to use plates for parts of the walls. So hopefully that works out well. I also stack these small plates to make a makeshift version of the wallpaper. This is just the prototype, but you can see the concept works as that entrance is just a mirror. Then I added a second mirror, and though you can see farther, I've noticed a terrible problem. I didn't make the mirrors the right size.
I'm terrible at math.
Since the hallways are 8 studs wide, I made the mirrors 8 studs wide, which is great, except that's not how triangles work. Now instead of a full hall, I'm only getting a rough half of a hall, and the more times it happens, well, it sucks. What I actually need are 8 studs here and here, which means my mirror should be this many. I'm gonna round that to 12 and I can slice off extra later. I'm also going to change the door to a 6 wide version, which allows us to see even more, which is the entire point of a diorama. And though I forgot to record this initial part, this photo shows our measurements are correct, as this looks like a normal hallway, but is in fact the mirror. And since our prototype is successful, we can make the final build. The difficult thing with acrylic sheets is it's easy for the mirror to bend, but so far they seem well aligned, so I'm gonna keep it as is. I kept 2 of the smaller mirrors in the back to create more paths down the line, and I've opened sections of the wall, which allows you to see into other areas, but I made sure you couldn't see more than one mirror from the entry. Wouldn't want to spoil the illusion. I think this is gonna be our final layout, but I'm running really low on light yellow bricks.
I'm only one panel in and I'm almost completely out of yellow tiles, or light yellow tiles, as you can tell by me having to use 1x1s. So I'm gonna intersperse stripes of regular yellow as yellow wallpaper.
I had to stack a lot of plates to make bricks, but we barely got there. In fact, these are the only light yellow bricks I have left. Now it's time for the moist tan carpet. Things started well with large tiles, until of course I ran out of large tiles. Then I went down to 2x2 tiles.
Yeah, we're out of 2x2. Oh, wait, no, there's one. All right, that's all of them.
Folks, this is gonna be a close call. Phew. I managed to get the whole floor tiled. But as you can see, I had to go down to my 1-width tiles, even using some 1x1s in areas. Also, I didn't have a stop sign, but I do have this crossing sign, so we're gonna use that. But there's a snag. The mirror fits snugly between the studs diagonally, which means normal diagonal pieces are slightly too thick to wedge in there. But these quarter circle tiles match directly with the studs, meaning they can fit on their studs without pushing against the mirror.
And though it's curved, it still makes a pretty good line. Now all I have to do is put a bunch of them, except for one problem that I discovered just now. Do you see it? I think that's my only tan one. Great. I lied. Apparently I have 2 of them, and that's it. And I need a lot more.
I guess it's time to take a trip to the beach. I don't know why I made that sound scary. This is the beach. It's part of my city. The whole thing is custom made, and also, everything lights up. I'll probably make a dedicated video sometime later, but it's not important right now. Regular watchers have probably noticed the bit when I'm running out of tan tiles, I claim I have no idea where they all could have gone. They're on the beach. And this beach definitely has quarter circle tiles. Now I really don't want to take from the beach, given it's not even technically complete yet. But there aren't any sets that I can get today with enough quarter tiles in them, so from the beach we shall steal. And I won't even cry about it anymore. In the end, I was able to pull enough quarter tiles to finish the first mirror. In the future, I'm gonna order pieces for the other mirrors, but since they're further away, it's much less noticeable that they don't have tiles. So for now, we can call this section complete and move on to the ceiling. If this looks like a bunch of random nonsense, don't worry. It does to me too. But I think if I just keep messing around, then suddenly...
Behold the majesty of random plates put together.
But they're gonna be the lights. Or at least the screens for the lights? You get it.
And now everything is uniform, which means all we need are the ceiling tiles. Normally, white tiles are very prone to sun damage, and since I thrift most of my Lego, I have a lot of varied brick conditions. Usually that sucks when making a uniform build, but for a dingy office building, it's perfect. The sun damage and varying levels of scuffs and scratches give our ceiling a sense of life and decay. And once we put the ceiling in place, we can see that we can't. It's dark. There's an old quote. I'm not quite sure if I remember it correctly. It goes, "Let there be light." Obviously a quote from the one and only Wheatley. And as such, light there shall be. But it is only after I go through the tedious motions of untangling this wire, getting and plugging in batteries, and turning it on do I realize these are warm lights, and we need fluorescent lights. So I dug around again until I found some labeled daylight. These will do nicely. In fact, by themselves they do a decent job. However, they are point lights, and we want rectangular lights. So I'm going to use the same aluminum tape from before for a little hack. A point light, like these LEDs, shines light in all directions. We only need our lights to shine in a single direction, so by placing a reflective material on top, it causes all the upward light to bounce and scatter downwards, making the light seem both brighter and larger than it would be. And it works perfectly. But I don't want to spoil what it looks like without the final piece. Clark. Clark is one of the 2 central characters from the Backrooms film. I hesitate to say protagonist because I haven't seen it yet. Plus, this sounds super sinister.
It's beautiful. Am I right?
Have you gone insane?
However, as a minifigure, we're in luck, because Chiwetel already has 2 figures from his time as Carl. And though you can't find IP outfits on Bricks and Pieces, I was able to snag an extra of his head from 2022. Then we can copy the hair from his earlier appearance. And now for a bit of trouble. In the trailer, Clark is wearing a grayish and slightly purple button-up and some slacks. And looking in my normal shirts drawer, I've got nothing. Even in formal attire, the best I have is a very purple shirt and tie, which he's not wearing a tie in the trailer. But we're in luck, as we can see another scene where Clark explores later on, and he is wearing a dark plaid shirt, just like this. And of course, we've got some blue jeans, which I've been stocking up on after my Stranger Things video. And altogether, we've got a picture-perfect Clark. And you may have noticed a sneaky extra stud inside the rooms. This location is perfectly blocked out, so the only way you can see this spot is directly in the mirror, causing him to appear deep within the complex. And now, for no apparent reason, I've chopped off a slice of a base plate, and we're both gonna have to figure out if I have some genius master plan, or I've fully cracked. But either way, I want to thank my wonderfully weird Patreon members. These fantastic people support all my strange projects, even if at some point I destroy my own property and start randomly piling bricks on it. They look at that and go, hold on, let's see where this guy's going. So thank you guys from the bottom of my heart, and may you all stay safely away from null zones. Non-Patreon members, you don't get null zone protection. That's just how it works. But it looks like my shenanigans are complete. So it turns out that I didn't have a place for a project of this size, but I do have my city that is sliced down to the bedrock on the sides, leaving a bunch of cool little cutouts of different places. Then I thought, I should put the backrooms in there, except the walls are very yellow and the rocks are not. So either I could shift back every single brick and tile and move the mirrors inside the backrooms back 2 studs, or I could just take the base plate from behind it, slice off 2 studs, and stick it in front to build the bedrock upon. And now it's all built, it looks great, and it's secure. Plus, the whole thing's not gonna even matter once I build the rest of the supports. And now, we can take a final look.
It's so familiar, and yet somehow wholly unhuman. A memory somehow made real. No, more abstract. A memory of a memory, copying itself again and again. They get the broad strokes, but not everything. Like trying to describe a dog to someone who's never seen one. The devil's in the details.
Oh, you survived until the end. Congratulations. Before you go, as always, make sure to leave a like, a comment. Let me know what your favorite Backrooms game is, because I've tried a lot of them, but definitely not all of them. So let me know down in the comments, and let me know what you want me to make next. And as always, I've been Andrew. You've been watching The Scrapbox. Have yourself a wonderful day, and if you find yourself in the Backrooms, good luck. Bye.